Daryl D here. Welcome back to the channel. I'm very excited to have you join me because this is episode number 18 of my Richard Corben comic collection. So for those of you who have been following these videos, you know I've been on the search for pretty much everything that my favorite artist, Richard Corben, all of his work that he's done, his comic books and whatnot, and it's not like I'm looking for every last single item, that he's produced or been a part of, but a lot of his stories have been retold and appear in a number of different books and magazines and whatnot. And so I'm not, particularly looking for everything, but I'm pretty much looking for at least one copy of every different story or batch of artwork that was out there. And so I really wasn't so much going for the magazine stuff unless, of course, I could find it for a decent price, because he's got a lot of magazines and books that are pretty expensive. So I am looking for that stuff, but I'm just not, I haven't put my focus on that more so than anything else because of the high prices that some of that stuff go for. I'm more so trying to find everything he did in comic book form, comic book size, comic book form, that type of stuff. And back in episode 14, I told you guys that I was pretty much done. I think I found everything that was out there in comic book form. So I started showing off a lot of the magazines that featured Corben's art. And let me say this too. Let me just make this clear. Richard Corben is my favorite comic book artist for the most part when it comes to undergrounds, and then a lot of the stuff that he did with the major publishing companies. Now I will say that Frank Miller is my favorite comic book artist when he was doing the Daredevil series. So I have two basically favorite comic book artists. They're just kind of from two completely separate worlds, if that makes any sense at all. Anyway, so it turns out that I've actually found or come across another nice little batch of Corben books in comic book size and comic book form, which is very exciting to me, and I get to share that with you guys today. So as I mentioned in the past, a lot of times Corben would be featured in a book in some way, shape, or fashion. He wasn't necessarily out in front like this is quote unquote a Richard Corben book. Some books he had stories in the back. Some books he just had art in. Some books it just came down to him having ads. I've shown you guys a number of examples of that over this video series. And I'm going to show examples of all of those right now. So let's sit back and see what I picked up. I don't remember, because it took me a while to sit down and make this video. So I don't remember every place I found each of these individual books, but I know some came from shops and some came from the internet, some website, a website here or there. I don't recall exactly, but I want to show you what I got. So the first one was this Max sampler. Okay, so what they did with this was they featured like basically just the artwork from a bunch of books that were released or were going to be released on Max Comics. So I want to show you, because I want to show you they've got two two pieces of Richard Corben art in here, and I think they are both from. Let me look. I don't want to get the book wrong, but let's see. Horror in the Dark. Is that what this is? Hunt of Horror. Hunt of Horror. Both of these pictures come from that book, and I've shown you the Hunt of Horror run. I completed that run quite a while back, but these are, you might recognize that one from one of the covers. But yeah, I do have that complete run, and yeah, they just showed some other artwork, stuff like this from books. What was that one? Punisher special. That's another Punisher special. Just different artists, from different books. But they gave Corben, the first two pages really on that. So that was pretty cool to find. I have a number of runs. Wasn't I believe the Cage book was on Max Comics as well, and I also showed you guys that run as well. Okay, next up, this was cool. I thought there were only 2 Swamp Thing comic books featuring Corben, but here's another one off of Vertigo. This is number 20. Not sure what the year is, but if you take a close look, you can definitely recognize that Corben art on that one. The other 2 Swamp Things, I believe it was 6 and 7. I hope I'm getting that right. But yeah, it seems like I know I've done this with the Hellboy series too, where I thought I had them all, and boom, next thing you know, I'm seeing another 1 or 2 that I didn't know existed. So yeah, it was very exciting to find these, because I thought the comic stuff was, I thought I had everything. Now this is, I did show you a different issue of Alien Encounters from Eclipse Comics, but this one has a Corben story. This is issue number 5. And I think the first story in here is a Corben story, and it's pretty cool. I can't really flip through this because, you know how Corben gets sometimes. So we'll just, you'll just have to use your imagination on that. Really cool story that takes place in Africa, beautiful Africa. Now here's another one that we're gonna flip through this. This is an example of a Corben book pushed in the back, or Corben story, I should say, pushed in the back of a book. This is Spirit number 7 from DC Comics. And this is Corben and Jan. How did somebody help me pronounce this? Stranad? Stranad? I don't know. Strnad. Those two have worked together many times over the years. I think this is the Spirit in black and white. Let's see. Yeah. So here we go towards the back of the book. This is a Spirit story. It's just what, 8 or 10 page story. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Classic Corben black and white. Not sure. I believe I got this one. I believe this one came from the internet, and it just kind of featured his name on this book because I wasn't looking for spirit books, but sometimes they will have, or they will feature who else is in the book. I showed a what was the name of that book? Cerebus or something like that. The little cartoon looking thing. I showed you guys a book where they stuck a Corben story all the way in the back. So a lot of times, if you don't know that they're in there, you might just pass it up, or me anyway. Okay, so next up, this one is kind of very interesting. Now, I showed you this book in the past. This is Death Rattle #1 with a fantastic Richard Corben cover there. And look at this. It's in the bag upside down, which lets me know I bought this from Greg's Comics, because all of his comics, for whatever, he puts them in upside down. Anyway, I showed you this before. So, and this is #1. What I didn't know is that I didn't know Death Rattle had more than one series, more than one run. And it come to find out, there was a second Death Rattle. Actually, I believe this was the second run and this was the first run. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. But this is also Death Rattle #1. And I had no idea until recently. Why didn't anybody tell me? You guys should have, you Corben fans that watch these, you should have said something to me. Anyway, so I have now both copies of Death Rattle #1, different volumes, series, editions, runs, however you want to say it, completely different, but I now have them both and didn't know, had no idea that, and I've seen this book many times, but never associated Corben with it, because I've never come across where his name was associated with this particular issue. So, yeah, thanks a lot, guys. So that's pretty cool. Both Death Rattles. Okay, this next one, I'm glad I got this. This is, because we're going to look at some that are slightly different than your traditional comic book size. This is Slow Death 0, and from the thickness of it, what's that? Don't they call that a graphic novel or something? I don't know. I don't really buy graphic novels, but I saw this one. It was really cheap. Had to have it, and I've shown you a ton of all the Slow Death. Actually, all of the Slow Death comics featuring Corben I've already showed you, but I didn't know that this featured him in it, and I didn't know it was such a thick book, which is probably one of the reasons why, I mean, there's so many artists in here and so many writers that they probably, when this is advertised, especially online, you don't really see his name, because, you know, I would think that they would have to put everybody's name. So you're probably looking at 30 or 40 different writers and artists. And I'm not sure if these are, is a new story in here, or if it was just been kind of recycled for this big volume. So let's take a look here. Actually, just upon opening the book, I immediately come across an article about the different Slow Death issues over the years. So let's see if there's any stories in here. I'm going to take a quick flip through. Yep, this is definitely Corben. I can tell his art right away. There's just one story. Is there more than one? Okay, no, just the one story. black and white story there. I'm not even sure what book this is from exactly. It kind of looked like Shadows in the Dark, but that was more definitely some kind of monster type story. Look at this. I believe that was Shadows in the Dark. Don't quote me on that. Or, what am I talking about? It's a slow death book. So it's one of the issues of slow death. There you have it. I actually haven't even, this is the first time me flipping through this since I actually picked it up. So, Slow Death Zero. Nice, nice thick edition of a bunch of slow death stories. Now this next one I want to show you, I thought was really cool. I got this for really cheap. And this is from 1975. This is issue number 121 of the Comic Reader. And I believe this is some sort of, I don't know if you would consider this a fanzine, a catalog of books, or what? A mini mag? I don't know. But I got this because it actually has a really cool Richard Corben ad in here. You know what? Here's $1 million idea. Why doesn't somebody make zine size comic bags and boards? Somebody should do that. When you do, just send me my cut to Daryl D, Phoenix, Arizona. This once belonged to Paul Washburn of Eastside, Oregon. Paul, I have your copy of the Comic Reader number 121. So, I think there's a lot of comic news and a lot of news about the different comic publishing companies. So I think this is definitely like a fanzine, media news, awards. It talks about conventions. And here's that, let's look at that ad I was talking about. Man, it's got some really cool 70s comics in here that they feature. Well, let's take a look at the ad real quick. That's what we're here for, right? Here we go. Announcing full color limited edition prints by Richard Corben. So cool. 50 cents for 1975. Not bad at all. Got this for really, really cheap. Cool thing to add to the collection. And I've shown other books with just Corben ads in them, which was like a regular thing for a lot of artists, especially those that came from the underground world of comics. But this was cool. It was cool that you were able to see something from him in a book, in a fanzine, especially where they're mostly talking about Marvel and DC books from the 70s. Okay, now this one, this next one I want to show you is magazine size, but it kind of started in magazine size and ended in comic book size. Whoop, hold on one second. This is Anomaly number 3. And I have all of the Anomaly books. Wasn't a whole lot of them featuring Corben, but I'm just missing number 2 now. So this is number 3. When I read this one, I noticed that it was definitely a story that I had shared with you guys in a past video. So obviously, I don't know if the story appeared here first or in one of the other books, but It's the classic story. I think these guys, a spaceship lands in the jungle somewhere, and then they're fighting these aliens or whatever. Um, Classic kind of sci-fi type story. But I've definitely shared this story with you before. Got this for a decent price. I can't complain too much. I think I paid around $30 for this. I've seen it go for a lot more. Um, Never seen it go for much less than that. This is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and I don't see this pop up very often at all. Usually, you see number four pretty often, but number two or number three, no, I never see this um, out in a while, like ever. So now I just got to get number two, and I'll have all of the anomalies featuring Corben. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now, let me close out by sharing something to you. I just thought I would share this with you guys. I showed you this book before. This is Strange Avengers number 3, and it has a Corben story with Joe Lansdale, who wrote the story, and it's just a story about some guy, some clockmaker, clock technician who kind of is fighting this evil entity in his house that's trying to get him to his wife. But check this out. There's a part where he's working on this giant clock, he's working on this giant gear, right? Something happens and there's an explosion, right? So look right there in the corner and see how he's like, look at the angle and the position of his body. So I'm reading this and I notice, hey, look at the ad right next to it. The Mission Impossible ad. This guy is being kind of like blown up and his body is in the same exact position as this picture. Check that out. Coincidence? Who knows? Anyway, that's it. That's it. Here's my latest batch of Corben books in comic size that I thought, not this one, that I thought we were done with. I thought I had them all. And I am happy to say that I didn't have them all. That way I got to share with you guys what I did have. And this is not the end, because I just found another one online that's very interesting and very surprising. I have no idea when I'll get to share that one with you, but it'll be sometime in the future when I hopefully get my hands on some more comic size Corben books. But we'll just have to wait and see. You might just see it a lot sooner than you think. All right, so that's it for now. Thank you guys for joining me. This is Daryl D TV, and this is my Richard Corben comic book collection so far, episode number 18. It's been a great journey. Thank you for joining me in it. You guys take care. Peace and love.